Oh boy, do I know that you guys are gonna have a lot to say about this story. Oh boy. Oh, I hope you came prepared because this one is long. Tell me your most shocking paranormal story. This is a story I posted years ago. I've had a few experiences, but the one I'm going to tell is the most disturbing. About 14 years ago, hubby, our 2 kids, and I moved into an apartment downtown. It was a large house split into 3 apartments. We had most of the middle floor and all of the top floor. The kitchen, living room, and bathroom were on the middle floor and the 2 bedrooms on the top floor. When we moved in, we had a lot of issues. New job for hubby, dealing with 2 toddlers, and me having cancer, then getting pregnant. So yeah, lots to keep us busy. It was all little things at first. Lights would be on when you turned them off, things not being where you last put them, doors would be open when they would be locked. Stuff like that. When we did notice it, we both figured it was the other doing it or the kids, especially with stuff moving around. Toddlers are always busy. The odd noises could have been the other tenants or street noise. When we moved our oldest into the other bedroom, things ramped up a bit. He really didn't like being in there, but we figured it was because he was used to being in the room with us and was upset about moving. He's also special needs, don't really want to get into what exactly, and I thought the strength of his reaction was tied into that in some way. He would cry and scream and would try to get out. I thought I was doing the right thing and I would keep putting him back in there. I thought if I gave in, he would learn if he hollered long enough, he could get his way. I got to the point I had to hold the door closed until he exhausted himself. He would wake up a few times during the night and wanted me to stay with him. Again, I thought I was doing the right thing and would go back to my room after a few minutes. A few times I didn't go at all when he cried for me. It was getting really frustrating, and it wasn't a freaking picnic for my little guy either. He was tired out and wasn't himself. I would try to pump up the fact that he had his own room and his sister still had to share with us, but he didn't buy it. He didn't like the room. It took a while to get out. Why? Because he wasn't very verbal, but I could piece together that he was scared of a man with no eyes and no teeth. Then more stuff started happening around the apartment. I'd wake up during the night and the TV would be off and the bedroom door would be wide open. I'd think hubby did it and go back to sleep. Meanwhile, the same was happening to him and he thought it was me. The kitchen cupboards would be open most mornings and my cooking ladles were usually on the other side of the stove. The toilet would flush randomly or the taps would turn on. A few times I heard my husband call my name, but he was either not home or said he didn't call for me at all. A few times the kids' toys moved or turned on by themselves. One night I went downstairs to use the bathroom and my daughter's fire truck fell out of the toy box and rolled out into the hall with the lights and sirens going. It was the fastest I've ever used the restroom in my life. At this point, we had been living there about 18 months and nothing really major had happened. But all the little things were getting on our nerves. We were both thinking there might be a ghost, but not really saying it out loud. Then I saw him. My boy was having another rough night. At this point, I was 7 months pregnant and I was just not having it tonight. I asked my husband to come into the room with him so I could go use the restroom. Quick layout of the upstairs. The stairs were at the far end of the kitchen and went up about 10 steps, then a landing, another set of 8 or so steps, and then a short hallway with the bedroom doors across from one another. There were 3 overhead lights, all 100-watt bulbs. I opened the bedroom door and stepped into the hall. Standing there on the landing was a man. He was around my husband's height, 5'11", and was wearing a black suit. He didn't have any eyes. I don't mean he had empty sockets. The skin was unbroken, like he had never had eyes to begin with. His mouth. Holy jeez. It was a regular sized mouth, but it wasn't. It almost looked like shark teeth, but not quite. The light was the worst. The hallway was very bright, but directly around him, it was like the light was almost sinking or draining into him. The light wasn't white either. It was orange, piss yellow kind of light. I stood there staring at him and felt like he was staring at me, like he had been just waiting for this moment. I was so scared, I was almost beyond feeling it. I walked backwards into the bedroom and started closing the door. My husband asked what was wrong and I turned to him without a clue about what to say. He looked past me and his eyes widened. The doorknob was pulled out of my fingers and then the door slammed shut. He said he saw a shadow go by the door and then he started sweating. He was sweating so much it looked like he was in a shower. He said he felt like he should go out into the hall but was too afraid to. We had to, though. Our daughter was in the other bedroom, and I didn't want to stay in that room a second longer. He grabbed up our boy, and we just ran the few steps across the hall into our bedroom. I ended up pissing in the wastebasket for the rest of the night, and we moved out within the week. A few years later, I was training a new guy at work, and we got to talking about ghosts. I told him this story, and at the end, he asked where it was. I told him, and he freaked. His friend was renting the same apartment, and he had been staying there on and off. Most of the same stuff was happening, but they didn't see the man. They didn't like the bedroom my son had. He said he always felt like panicking in there. I still feel horrible about making my son stay in that room. Who knows what happened or what could have happened? I feel like it was enjoying the misery, and I hate that I put my son through that. I never thought it was a ghost or evil blind shark man. It's never an automatic choice that your kids is acting up over the paranormal, but I still feel like shit over it. The house is no longer standing. It burnt down 3 or 4 years ago. I don't even like going by the empty lot. Like it might follow me or something. It was the scariest thing I have ever experienced, and short of someone dying in front of me, it always will be. First of all, look at my stickers. There's Lisa Franklin's. Look at the stickers. Just look at them, just for a second. Ah, they're funny. Okay. Oh boy, do I know that you guys are gonna have a lot to say about this story. Oh boy. You know me, you know I am not gonna touch on the subject. I am not a parent. It's really difficult when kids go from infant to toddler because you're kind of within that moment of we kind of know how to talk, but we kind of don't understand the talk and or can't really depict what they're trying to say or their emotions or feelings because they're just babies. And I think in this moment you were right, Mom. I think that this was genuine fear from him. I think that whatever it was absolutely feeding off of his misery. I also think in your case, you do absolutely have another barrier to kind of break through, and that's because your child was special needs. And I think that also made it difficult for you to make a different decision within that exact moment, because if you would have known what was going on behind the door, it's not like you would have done that type of thing. I will say a man in a suit with no eyes but like straight, like I can see what you're saying, that he doesn't have just like eye sockets and crazy teeth but also like no teeth. Like it's horrific to say the least, and the fact that all of you saw it down to your children and your husband is very validating. And if you know me, you know that I love that validation for you. Crazy that the friend / coworker is now experiencing this. What a small fucking world. Super glad it was burnt down. And I probably wouldn't feel comfortable going by it either. With that being said, I love you guys and I hope you have a great day. Bye.